All right. And we're live. Hello.
Hello.
Everyone's probably joining and some watching the replay. So today is all about ego versus soul. And it's really our journey of working with our ego and our soul because we're human and it never really ends. So this is a conversation that comes up a lot with me and my clients, and is how do you decipher between your ego versus soul, especially when you're going through a big transformation, a big awareness. And Diane and I both have our own journeys with that, of having been, a completely different versions of ourselves that was mostly led by our egos. And, we're able to grow out of that, cultivate and grow our own business based on our soul mission and a true desire to serve others and explore gifts in new ways. And, having to constantly work through the ego and soul with that to this day, it never really ends, because it's really, to me, the journey of what I like to call Earth School. We're all masters of energy and here to alchemize and find our way forward, through the different voices that run through our systems. And there's so many different analogies out there too. It's like the shadow side, the higher ego, the lower ego, the soul. So, we'll touch on all of those in our own experience, because to me, the best way to share with others is based on our own experience and what we've grown through and where we're at right now in our own journeys. And obviously you can tell Diane and I are very different ages. So we come from a different perspective. So it's such an honor to have that plethora of knowledge available today. So thank you, Diane, for being available. And thank you for all joining as well. So with that, Diane, let's start with your journey of ego versus soul, whatever you want to share in this moment.
Thank you, Sarah. I love being here and I love sharing, and particularly about the ego and the soul. I think the ego is very misunderstood. Yeah. Certainly, I know when I started out, I definitely misunderstood. I thought the ego was my enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I knew that it would make you feel small, or it could make you feel large, or whatever. But I didn't realize until later on that it was actually a tool. The ego is a tool to help you wake up. Because if you are aware in your moment, you'll notice that voice in your head that keeps talking to you. And not only does it talk to you, but it takes two sides of a conversation. That's your ego. To me, that's my ego. That's my ego talking to me, trying to keep me busy so that I'm not in my awareness. Because when your mind is having conversations, you are not in the now. And if you're not in the now and you're not in the present, then you can't create your future. So, but I know that I needed that ego, because everything's a dichotomy, right? You could say the ego is one thing and the soul is another thing. Mm-hmm. And not one is bad or worse or better. They're both there to me as tools for you to grow as a soul having a human experience. So I say to you, wake up to your ego. Pay attention. Mm-hmm. Like, pay attention. How often are you're driving along and you get somewhere and you went, oh my gosh, how did I get here? Well, guess what? In that time, you were having this conversation and you were gone. You were just on automatic pilot. So it's like starting to pay attention. And I tell people, in the car, you could take a little rose quartz and put the stone, Velcro it to, if you want to your car. So, there's that pink stone. Brings you back. Anyway, so there's lots of little tricks that you can do. So one day I realized that I was not connected to my soul. Did you want to tell your journey first before I break into that?
No. Well, let me just add real fast to what
ahead.
You just, because that was, I think it's worth also reflecting on, right? Is the voices we're witnessing and experiencing throughout our journey. And sometimes I truly feel that it's, yeah, you hear that ego, like you were saying. And so to me, my ego is almost that kind of alert, like something's off, you're not okay with something, and it's okay because I don't have to react, right? And so the ego likes to react. The soul likes to process and evolve and alchemize. And so when we work with these driving forces, it is a power of resonance of, oh, where do I want to give my energy? And sometimes, in our journey, we need to create those energies, those opportunities to say, whoa, I let my ego react to that. I let my ego take it to a whole other level. Sometimes we can catch it in the moment. We're like, whoo, I could have created something very different, right? And it's kind of that balance. And as I started connecting more to my soul, I realized how to work with that balance, and it never really ends. And sometimes those reactions are necessary for others. And I feel like it's giving it a permission to be fluid versus judging it or saying, okay, this is my ego and this is my soul. It's like, okay, these are just energies, right? And the more we work with the energies, the more we can explore them. So it is so complex and personal, and everyone has an intimate relationship. Some call it their shadow, some call it their lower ego, their higher ego, and it's all what resonates with how you work with that energy and how it presents itself. And sometimes we are on autopilot, so we might not even have control of those reactions. It might just happen. And in those moments is acknowledging, like, okay, what was created, what is my reality now, and how can I move forward? So a lot of us are moving through these ego versus soul. The energy, especially this week, is a lot of that processing and old feelings, old hurts, right, coming to the surface for us to evolve and alchemize. So to me, when my ego wants to react, I invite my soul to support it in neutralizing and asking. I'm also very dominant Libra, so it's very intuitive for me to do that. However, I feel like the more we just give ourselves permission to be neutral in it and lead with that love and compassion for ourselves and others, for whatever is available, because every circumstance is different, and sometimes we're going to need to react right away. So, it's that balance, really. So
yeah, right. And that's such valuable information. But now I might say, and they might be wondering, well, where the heck do I start?
Right.
Because that's the thing. I mean, it's easy.
Yeah.
But for us, we've been doing this for a long time to get to where we are. And you have to start somewhere. And so starting today is a good day to start.
Yeah.
But how do you start, right?
Yeah.
Well, let me just tell you my story, though. My story is, oh my goodness, probably at least 10 years ago, I think this happened. I was watching Oprah. I love Oprah. She's awesome. And the people that she has on are awesome as well. And I get so much value out of it. And that day I got more value than I've ever received when I think back on it. She and her guests were talking about surrendering. And they were talking about who they surrendered to, which was God. They surrendered to God. And I said to myself, when I surrender, who do I surrender to? And I thought, I don't really surrender. I'm not really surrendering. I mean, I know that I'm trying to surrender, but it doesn't, who am I surrendering to? And so I asked the universe, because I can do that. I asked the universe, I said, so tell me what I should do. And what dropped into my head was soul, is that I could surrender to my soul. And because my soul, remember I said before, we are souls having human experiences. We really take ourselves so seriously, our human selves, but really, we really aren't this body. Well, we are for a bleep, but we really are an energy, which we call a soul. And I decided that I wanted to have a relationship with my soul, and that I wanted to get to know my soul, because I realized that it was really me, more me maybe than I am. And what could we do together, as a team? But I didn't start off that way. I just talked to my soul and I asked it how it felt about being in a relationship with me. And I put the question, well, I'd like to have a relationship with you. I'd like to form a friendship with you. And so there was something that I would do every day. I came up with a prayer, which I have my book.
Yeah.
In my book, I have the soul prayer recipe. So in the recipe, I think it's very important in the beginning to acknowledge that you have a soul. I mean, I think we all know we have an ego. It's pretty obvious, but not everybody maybe knows that they have a soul or recognizes it or acknowledges it. So if you acknowledge your soul, you'll be amazed at what can happen in your life. So what I do this prayer every morning. First, I acknowledge it and I say, good morning, soul. Good morning. How are you today? And then I say to my soul, I give thanks because gratitude is everything. And I say, thank you for always putting me in the right place at the right time with the right people for my highest purpose in all ways. And I say that every day, and my soul will always put me in the right place at the right time with the right people. And if you pay attention, you'll see it. And so then the next thing is that developed for me. The next thing that I encourage all of you to do is to ask your soul to do a little something for you. Not a big something, something that's like within the realm of your possibilities, not like, oh, I'm going to win the lottery. Well, there's too many emotions connected to that, right? I mean, you could maybe, but I started with something small. I said to my soul, I said, okay, let's see if we can work together. There's this play that I'd love to see. How about bringing me some tickets? Right?
Yeah.
All right, a couple of weeks go by. My sister comes to town. We go to her best friend's house. We're sitting there, and she says to me, oh, by the way, my husband and I have 2 tickets to see this show that I want to see. Would you like them? And I went, OMG, oh my goodness. Yes, thank you so much. And there was my soul, because instantaneous, because I asked for it. And there it was. And so that was the beginning, truly, of me trusting my soul, that it would always show up. It's an interesting thing because I am psychic, and information, that was another process, to trust that the information is always going to show up. And I don't know if that's your soul or somebody else's guide. It's always different, right? Mm-hmm. This is your personal self, your authentic self, maybe you want to even call it your authentic being. It's your energy being. It's always you. And it comes here, like Neil Donald Walsh in his book, Conversations with God, says your soul came here with the greatest version of the grandest vision that it ever had of itself. That's what it comes here with. And it's in a partnership with you. But if you don't acknowledge it, it makes its journey much more difficult, for sure, because you don't know that it's there. You don't know that it can help, right? So I today would invite all of you to make friends or just acknowledge that you have a soul and ask it to do something for you, something small. Watch what happens. I just did that yesterday. I haven't asked in a long time. I asked my soul for a couple of signs, and I got them. It's very interesting. We have so much power from within. That's our soul. That's our soul. We have so much power connected right here to our heart math.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, but that's been my journey with my soul, and it's been growing. And sometimes, honestly, I mean, I do forget sometimes myself, and my ego sometimes absolutely takes over. But the difference between me now and me in prior times is I have more awareness when that happens. And then you know what I do? I forgive myself, and I say, good job, Diane, for for recognizing that you did that. Don't ever give yourself a hard time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because your ego wants you to give yourself. Your ego doesn't always want you to feel great, right?
So, yeah, depending on what ego is presenting itself
in that moment.
Sure. Yeah.
In that moment,
Yeah.
that's exactly right.
Yep.
So that is. I don't know if you want to share something.
Yeah.
With your story.
I mean, my journey. I'm still obviously in it.
Look, me too.
Yeah,
I'm still in
and
it.
It never ends. But what I can share for how I navigated both of them in different ways is I was in a 15-year corporate career that the whole time was, working with really big brands, Fortune 100 companies, Fortune 50 companies, and, millions and millions of dollars into production and technology, and overseeing a lot of development work, content creation. And in that, I started studying really psychology of consumption of media. And throughout the 15 years, I was able to work with futurists, engineers, psychologists, everything from game development to video content and apps, mobile. I literally rode the wave of it all emerging. I started my career back in 2005. So that's when I really moved into the digital arena. I was in in-store marketing before. My first, actually, it's funny, I laugh at this because it's so me. My first program I ever created was with Kimberly-Clark Huggies. And I created a baby derby in Kmart's where people would bring their babies and have them race for a whole year of free diapers. I created that in college.
I think I remember that.
You went, wait, what?
Yes, I do remember that.
No, really?
Yes.
What? That is
I didn't
so
know
crazy.
she did that.
Yeah, that was, I
my
oversaw
gosh.
in-store promotions for Kmart and Target. That was like one of my first jobs. And the reason I left that industry is because I got bored with working in a confined space. Mm. And this was right when technology, the internet, was taking off with more video. So I went to music, and then I worked for like a grassroots agency that helped artists like Mariah Carey and a few others create and cultivate communities to let people know what songs were being released and all that. I didn't really like that industry because it was the time iTunes was launching. So I felt like the longevity was not there. So I shifted into digital media. And this was right when video was taking off. So I worked for an agency. And then from there created content. And so I literally watched everything evolve. And in that, I worked at Microsoft for 5 years and was able to see technology in a different way because they had Xbox and Windows, and they were working with holograms at the time. And what happened was I started getting into the psychology of this and seeing the disconnect and not wanting to be a part of that anymore, but also wanting to seeing technology serve in a different way. And knowing that it's so powerful, and like seeing holograms and connecting with hologram technology, the visceral, emotional feeling I was tapping into opened up this other channel. And once that channel was opened, I started going deep into emotional intelligence. I went to Tony Robbins. I walked on fire. I broke free from this old ego paradigm of it has to be this way, because I was following these breadcrumbs and I'm like, okay, I have the career, I have the titles, I have my car, I have all these things. And I was like building this empire. I got my house and I finally reached the top, and I was just like looking around at what's left to climb. And I was like, I don't want to climb there. And I already climbed this far. And in that, I lost so many versions of myself. Who am I? And so for 5 years, I went into this process of letting go of these filters I thought were mine, that my ego wanted me to keep and maintain. And in that breaking free, I started feeling a different rhythm. And I got to a point where I was doing so much work. I volunteered to do this group of leadership where I had over, 10 students from the ages of 18 to 70. And I would mentor them for 4 months, and I just seen their lives expand through emotional intelligence and them honoring their boundaries and their energy. It just opened up this other side to me that I'm like, I don't know what to do with any of this. So meanwhile, I'm still in my career, right? I'm doing virtual reality now. I'm creating content in VR, augmented reality. And my last actual moment in time, I was commuting from Long Beach to Santa Monica, and again, having this conversation, like, what am I supposed to do with all this knowledge and awareness? And like, nothing feels right anymore, but I'm not lost. I'm motivated. And my ego's like, no, do this. Here's your ladder, climb this way. And my soul's like, we can go this way. And so I listened. So for this year, I was commuting a lot, and I was listening to every book in Diane's book. All her references is I was listening to The Surrender Experiment, Conversations with God, The Untethered Soul, all Wayne Dyer, all Joe Dispenza, right? And so all this like awareness is opening up. And meanwhile, I'm in a very toxic 90% male environment that wasn't feeding my soul. It was demanding me to step into my masculine. I fell in love with my clients, so I was like, I wasn't ready just to bail. We were able to create this amazing experience where we converted a car into a 360 virtual test drive, and essentially would take people in Detroit from the south of France to Germany to Big Sur. And it opened up this idea of there's ways to motivate people with content and technology, and I'm ready to explore that. But I wanted to tap into energy, soul purpose. And so that's where I started becoming and integrating my Reiki, my Akashic, and creating experiences that people could unlock that. So it was a combination of allowing my soul and my ego to have these ongoing conversation of like, what's practical and available, but where can I start working towards? And instead of saying I had to decide then, I would cultivate and give myself that space. So what happened was I was able to finally say, I'm ready to just go full time into my healing practice and put all my energy in there. So I left my career at a place that felt very available for me. And then for 6 months, I created events and experiences. And it got to a point where I was like, I love this, but it doesn't feel sustainable. And so my ego was like, well, we could go back and create content while you still build. And my soul was like, like I just felt that like, no. And so I told myself, I declared, I said, okay, if I'm meant to do this, then I will say the only job I would take would be for, this specific role. It was a very like, I want to work for Ellen DeGeneres, branded content. And if that comes my way, somehow, some way, I'll know it's a sign. Next day, I get an email from Ellen DeGeneres, branded content, exact role. Like, what? And they emailed me. And she's like, I'm in New York, but I'll be in LA next week. Do you want to interview? And I was like, yes, right? My ego was like, yes. My soul was like, no. Anyways, I go to the interview. I've told this story before, so I'll tell a nutshell of it. Is I was on the WB lot feeling super great. Like, this is where I belong. I love it. My ego was like, yes. Meanwhile, my soul, I felt my heart just... And go to the interview, panel women. What presented itself was basically them saying, we need you doing energy work, not here. Literally, because I told them my whole journey. And at the time, I was really into energy work. And obviously that shined through. And they were literally like, you need to be doing that. And we need you out there doing that. And I didn't get the job because of that. And it was very clear, like, as much as it was like, yeah, I could have gone that route, my energy was needed somewhere else. And shortly after that, I opened up Energy Haus and started building a brand that could cultivate and serve with technology, I brought in the premise of the store at the time was to have the aura reader, which was a technology with biofeedback that would tell you your energy and give you analysis on it. We had essential oil reader that had biofeedback as well. We had a Vogel crystal healing bed. We had another device that created music from plants. So we used all these different technologies and helped tell a story about energy in a different way. And now we shifted that online. And so with Healy, I can do that now with a microcurrent device. So now I can do that reading analysis of actual cellular data that is so much more granular than ever before. I'm cultivating events and working with different communities in different ways. So it's like, it doesn't end, right? So the reason I share all this is really, that's been my journey of my soul, my ego. They are my team. And, my ego supported me in understanding all the things I could create, inside of a store still and outside of a store. My soul gave me an awareness of like, hey, what about we try something new, right? And so my last story that's very recent is the radio show. So in January, I declared for 2021 is the year of content for me. And I'm just going to create content to support others. And I'm still discovering new ways to do that, hence today. And this, where we're at now, and with Diane. And so anyway, so I saw a post from another dear soul sister of mine who has a radio show, and Dr. Marissa, and she created an amazing opportunity for people that wanted to have their own radio show and could win it. And so I saw the opportunity and said, hey, my soul's like, yeah, let's do that, right? And my ego's like, yeah, but you wanted a podcast. So, right? And so I went through this battle of almost downplaying this opportunity because of my declaration that I declared I would do a podcast and, it'd be very different and all the things that I still didn't create, right? And it wasn't happening. So long story short, the day of the audition comes, there's 6 contestants. An hour before the thing, my ego is like, you don't need to do that. And my soul was like, ask your pendulum, like super clear. And so I'm like, oh, I got to take it out of my head. So I put yes, no. I said, for my highest good, I did my alignment. I I anointed and did all my process to really tune in because I wanted it to be unbiased. So I created that space. I said, for my highest good and the highest good of all, should I do the radio show? Yes or no? And it said yes. So I did it. And then I won and now I have a radio show. So that was recent, right? And so my ego really wanted to tell me I wasn't good enough or I didn't matter, whatever other story was coming up in that moment. But my soul really made itself known. And now I'm so grateful because I think I have now over 13 shows and I'm loving creating content and sharing other people's wisdom and voices and experiences. And where I'm taking the show to the season 2, I'm even more excited for. So there's so much opening up. Oh, there's the Coherence. After Healy ends the cycle, it plays this music, which always reminds me of like the W. It's like this like refreshing, like, oh, you're so good. So that was the music. And
Coherence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually been running Coherence the whole time we've been
Yes.
speaking. I love Coherence. It's a newer program that was introduced to us, given to us by the creator of the Healy, Marcus Schmicky. And what it is it's Pythagoras, who was a mathematician, 500 BC. And oh my goodness, it really is interesting to check that out, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, he came up with the equation, the mathematical equation of the universe. And this gentleman, Marcus, has put that mathematical equation to frequency. Because everything is numbers and everything is frequency with numbers. And so what this does is, honest to goodness, it talks to your soul. There are other programs in there. Like I love being, and the goal being is for your soul. And there's other things too. Yeah. But this is about creating a vibration, not just for me, But when it goes, and I wear these wrist pads, so they go directly right into my body. You don't have to wear them, but I like to wear them when I'm doing this. And what happens is that as I move about, even if it's not even on me, but it's still vibrating within me because it goes within my cells, Sarah's sitting next to me, and guess what? Sarah's getting my good vibes.
Always.
She is. She's getting my good vibrations.
Yeah.
You know, one other thing I want to say too about the soul and the ego.
Yeah.
To me too, the soul and the ego are two things. They're the soul is always about love. It's always going to want the very best for you. And the ego, unfortunately, is about fear.
Yeah.
It stirs up your fear, however it does it. Like, I mean, with Sarah, how you related that was so perfect. Yeah. And such a good example because, fear can keep us in a very small, hard place, and it can keep us there for a long time. And why is that? Because our little minds are going, and we're thinking too much. We're thinking way too much. But this whole thing is a process, and I'm telling you, and I don't have to tell you, I'm telling all of you that if you can connect to your soul, your life will change because you'll understand that you're not alone. You know, so many people do feel alone, particularly now, don't they? But you're not alone. You really do have a soul. So test it. Test it. Try it out.
There's so many different ways to connect with your soul too. And I would say the biggest way for me is journaling. After 3 minutes of journaling, and sometimes my way of journaling, by the way, is talking in my phone or videoing. So it's not always writing for me. So I still see that as reflection work, and any reflection work I call journaling. But it's, for me, sometimes writing, I just need I have too much going on. So just talking it out, and maybe it's not with a partner or anyone that needs to hear it. And sometimes it is. So it's, asking myself is there someone that I can hold space for me that I feel like maybe has a perspective I'm not aware of that can get me out of my mind or get me out of this mindset or belief system. And sometimes it's giving myself permission to just process and reflect. So reflection to me is a really good way to just tap out of attachments or ego or expectations or filters or whatever you want to call it, and really tap into what I'm really wanting to focus and put my energy into.
Yep. You know what I just thought of?
What?
Get your soul on. Get your soul on. Right?
I love that. Yeah.
Really.
Dancing.
Anything. Drawing.
Nature.
Being free. Just let go. Just do. Be, not do. It's, what they say, don't do.
Yeah.
Be. That's it. Just be. Just go out and hug a tree and be with the tree, or be sitting on the grass, because when you're sitting on the grass, you're connected to Mother Nature. And then, forget about your body and let your soul connect to Mother Earth and see what that feels like.
Yeah.
Just start connecting. Pay attention to your soul.
And that's, we're in right now, and whenever you watch a replay, to me, the energy is calling you. And so whatever time frame that might be. But we are in this Mother Days energy. So regardless if, you're a mother or have a mother or, wherever that is, it's energy of nurturing. It's energy of giving yourself what you need. And so let this weekend be a nurturing weekend. We're moving, and wherever you're at, I guarantee you're moving through some energy that needs nourishment, needs you to slow down, or maybe give yourself that space and do whatever feels the most aligned for your highest good. So, whatever that is for you, you can make it as, expansive or as simple, and just give yourself that permission sometime this weekend. Make that a commitment, or whenever you're watching this in the next 48 hours, find those moments to just connect to love, your higher self. Because to me, the soul lives really all within, and especially that heart chakra energy unlocks that higher perspective. So for we're just living in the space of fear and lower energies of, maybe self-sabotage or emotions. Not to say it's a bad place to be, but just bringing that energy awareness back into your heart will help bring in some different perspectives too. So sometimes even just shifting to that heart energy is all that's needed, especially now as we navigate these times. It's a lot to process, and there's a lot of mixed polarities and opinions, and everyone's healing right now, and we're going to be continuously healing for the next, we're always healing. Like, this is the journey of healing. And one time my client asked me, like, when does this end? Like, when does all this stop? And I was like,
no,
I don't know if it's ever about the destination. I truly, for me at least, and Diane, you'll be a great echo of this, is, it's truly just enjoying each moment and honoring that every moment is a miracle and a blessing. And yes, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, but we're absolutely human for a reason. And we can do so much with this experience. And it's really asking ourselves, like, where am I giving my energy? And does it serve me? And starting there and being open to maybe different ideas, new ways. So if you do feel stagnant or stuck or lost or confused or drained or exhausted, those are all energies of recalibration. And there's new energies that want to come in. However, you're going to have to give yourself permission to explore what might be required of you to tap into those new perspectives.
Just ask for help,
because
because it's there.
And that's the thing too, we're co-creators. So it's
simple.
It's a part of our relationship to the universe. Like Diane said many times, is yes, ask for support, ask for your soul to show you signs, because it can. And the more we lean on our higher self and know we're co-creators of this experience, miracles can start to come in. And you're worthy of receiving them. Like, you don't need to just, we aren't human doings. We're absolutely the human beings. So,
and patience is required. That's unfortunately in our society, we are in this moment. We want it right now. Boy, it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't.
I feel like that's a lot of the old programs, is our results, dictate, our worth, or, if we did something right, or, if it's good or bad. Right. And so to me, it's letting go of that energy of results and really working with, like, wow, I'm so grateful I get to be Diane and all of you in this moment to talk about probably a lot of perspectives we all need to reflect on, us included. No mistake. Every time I do a session, every time I jump on lives, it's everything I need to hear in different ways, right? And so I think it's just appreciating the moments we take for ourselves and the perspectives we gain, and then from there deciding, what do I want to do that with my next moment, and living in the moment. And that's what this pandemic has taught me. I was always a doer, always a high achiever, and I still am. And also, I feel so much lighter and expansive because I'm living in that present and giving myself permission to create and explore new ways. And it's just opening up so much. So Healy's a part of that. Diane's a part of that. And all of you are a part of that in different ways too. So it's exciting, and also a lot to balance out. So just giving myself that permission to not have to speed through it either, and just be aware and open. And the more I do that, the more I'm like, wow, this is actually fun, and I'm enjoying myself. And I feel like we're supposed to be like, life doesn't have to be serious. It can be fun.
It really can.
And I feel like it's a dance, and sometimes you want to sit the dance out, and sometimes you want to just get in there, and it's honoring whatever's available.
And I just want to say, it is a journey,
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that starts off with all the answers and all knowing the right things to do. We all make mistakes in our lifetime, but to me, they're not really mistakes. Now I don't look at them that way at all, because you're learning from it. And I think that what happens is, you start now, and what you're doing is you're creating a new awareness for yourself. And you might forget it, but then you go, oh wait, and that's something to say. Oh, good for you. Good for you. I say to myself, good, good, Diane, you caught yourself.
Yeah.
And just being in the now, you know, Eckhart Tolle's book, I love that, The Power of Now. That's an awesome book.
Yes.
And tricks. There's so many, which we could talk about that sometime.
Yeah.
There's so many different little tricks that you can do for yourself and to yourself to keep you in the now. Yes. Which keeps you in your soul power.
Yes. And that, I was looking up when our next workshop is. It's the 18th. Mm-hmm. The 18th at noon, Diane and I are going to be doing a little workshop on frequencies. So we'll cover some of this too. So how to work with your frequencies, how to tap into these energies in different ways, different tools and techniques. Mm-hmm. But we thought it would be beneficial to first start with our journey with frequencies, soul versus ego, because that is a huge energy that is constant, especially in the spiritual journey. So I always, like to say the ego is a great navigator of the like lower dimensional spaces, because it's like my little snuffer. It's like it's going to snuff out inconsistency of energy, but it's not my fixer. No. And it's not my dictator. It's just my little tool I get to use, like you said, tool that I get to leverage. And my soul is another tool, another higher perspective. And my soul brings in perspectives that my ego does not. So it's working with those two energies and almost like a council, right? It's like we have a council of energy. We have all kinds of energies working with us on all kinds of levels. And it's getting to know your own council. And so that's really the purpose of everything I create and Diane creates in different ways, is just you getting to know your own energy, your own council.
Many ways.
And
right?
many ways. And there's no
to,
one recipe. There's many,
That's what's so wonderful. I mean, I've read, truly my journey has been hundreds and hundreds of books.
Yeah.
I just open myself up and I just love books because you can learn from other people. You don't have to have the experience yourself, by the way.
Yeah.
You can learn from somebody else. It's a wonderful thing.
Yep.
And I'm excited. I'm excited that we're doing this because, with all this new technology out there, which wasn't available when I started, let me tell you.
Yep.
Tape recorder days.
Yeah.
Actually. And
totally.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is really wonderful. It's a great opportunity. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
I love
Thanks,
it.
Diane.
This is fun.
Yeah, it's so fun.
It's so much
fun. I love
fun.
sharing with you. So thank you for coming over and sharing with everyone as well. And for those of you that tuned in and watched the replay, thank you as well. And comment below, share with us any stories that you want to share, or reach out if you have any questions as well. And make sure to tune into the frequency workshop, which is on the 18th at noon. And then also on Amazon, you can get Diane's book that we've mentioned several times, Recipe for Happiness, on energyhaus.com in our online store. I have links to different books. It's on there as well. So if you want an easy link, you can link it on the website. And then, like I mentioned, it has one of my favorite parts, besides all the great tools, is her references. And this is like all the books I read on my spiritual journey, and then some I have not read. So if you're looking for like a good list of books to go deeper with your own journey and energy and all the things, this would be a good starting point.
Thank you.
And then also, yes, thank you for creating that. And then also, if you want to learn more about Healy, you can sign up for a free 20-minute introduction. And we'll give you an overview. You'll get resources and an interactive link to get more information on the technology. So you can sign up under services on Energy Haus, or on the homepage, there's a link to book that. So anything else you want to add?
No, I'm just so happy to be here. And I love the month of May. It's my
birthday month. Birthday's this week.
But how wonderful, because it's a grounding month.
Yes.
It's really good to be grounded right now.
Especially right now. Yeah, thanks God for Taurus.
Yeah, really. So I'm a happy Taurus.
Yeah. Oof. Well, happy birthday, Diane.
Thank you.
Many blessings to you this week. And with that, we'll see you next time. We'll see you on the 18th. And I'll see you probably sooner than that as well.
Namaste.
Bye. Where's the mouse go?
You almost had it.
Oh, there it is. I can see it now.
I think that was pretty good.